Hello everyone. This is another unusual video from OLP on Middle East Podcast. But I felt the need of doing this one because of a news that I just read that was out. I first read it on Reuters, the news agency, and it gave account of some splendid Ukrainian conquests in the conflict, recent Ukrainian conquest. And so, normally the theme is so polarized that this kind of news normally puts people in a worry and makes others very happy. But has most of the news about the Ukrainian conflict, especially coming from the Western news, you always have to get busy and dig a little bit deeper. And so, going straight to the subject. Or just before that, behind me there is this I don't know what you call it, to store books, a bookshelf. A bookshelf that is normally appropriate. Normally, the bookshelves that experts use behind them, but there are plenty replenished, full of books. I'm not an expert, so the bookshelf says it all. So take it as you will, and let's dig into it. So the news I wanted to talk about is this one. Ukraine says it has retaken offshore drilling platforms near Crimea. And I read, so Ukrainian forces have regained control of Russia of several gas and oil offshore drilling platforms close to Crimea. Ukraine's military intelligence GUR said on Monday. It said on the Telegram messaging app that Kiev's forces had retaken the drilling platforms known as boiko towers in a unique operation, under quotation marks. It said the platforms had been occupied since 2015 by Russia, which seized and annexed Crimea in 2014, and it had been used by Moscow for military purposes since the start of Russia's full-scale invasion on Ukraine in February 2022. And then it goes on to say that Russia did not immediately comment on the report. Reuters was unable to independently verify the information. Well, they are quite quick to put it out there. And notice that they put it out there and then they admit they hadn't time to verify it. This tells a lot about the quality of the journalism we have. We're talking about Reuters. So, for Ukraine regaining control of boiko towers, and by the way, I will explain briefly why are they called the boiko towers, was of strategic importance, and as a result, Russia lost the ability to use them for military purposes. The GUR said in the video posted on Telegram. Russia has been deprived of the ability to fully control the waters of the Black Sea, and this makes Ukraine many steps closer to regaining Crimea. It said many steps closer. So one imagines the retaking of a strategic point by an army from another army, that there is a fierce battle and that the defending army resists because it's a strategic point, and so the people that win the battle are like seen as heroes and makers of a great military deed. I really hate this news environment, and that's why I had to comment on this one, because the Ukrainian army intelligence have released a video of the deed of the capture of the oil rig, the platform in the Black Sea. Notice that this platform is closer to Odessa than it is from Crimea. And so, when before going into that video, I would like to explain the boiko towers were acquired from Singapore by the government of Ukraine. The business was made. The deal was done by the minister of energy of Ukraine, whose name was Yuri Boiko, still under Yanukovych rule in Ukraine. The deal was done under a lot of corruption suspicions and a lot of things concerning state corruption and embezzlement of funds, but I'm not going to go into that right now, and it's not really important for the subject. Important is that Russia took care of these platforms, nationalized them when it seized the power in Crimea, and so since then it has been using them. But some months after the outbreak of the conflict in Ukraine, Ukraine had attacked these platforms, and I can show you the news here. This several sources reported on this, but here is quite well explained. So, Ukrainians hit these platforms in June 2022, which set them on fire. They hit them with missiles, set them on fire. They claim great victory because then the Russians could not use these platforms anymore. And indeed, this attack created big fire that lasted for weeks and rendered these platforms useless. And so now I will show you the video of the capture of the platforms that was released by the Ukrainian forces. Notice as the fast boat approaches, there seems to be no one at the platform, and then there are these footages from drone. But notice that the platform, the Marines just arrived there, and the platform seems to be deserted. That's one reason for that. It's because it was deserted. You can see the soldiers just going there. It's in operation, not in operation. It seems completely abandoned. And then the Ukrainian soldiers do what they usually do. They take pictures with the flag. There was not even, notice this detail, there was not even a Russian flag hoisted there. And then it seems like they take this Russian flag from the bag just to show that there was a Russian flag there. The picture, they have to take it. And then this flag comes out of it was not hoisted for sure over there. And that was it. And then they capture some crates. They consider it on the news as valuable trophies, but and that was it. So yeah, that was it. And so they claim this is like a great victory, many steps closer to conquering Crimea. I think this is who people who follow the conflict in Ukraine know that this is like the way the Ukrainians have been working, and I do suspect highly advised, strongly advised by the Americans, because this is American style of doing things, this media victory and media propaganda. And if you want to hear my opinion, not an expert, I repeat, But this is one of those Ukrainian media victories which has no military importance or strategic importance whatsoever. It will not be decisive in any way in the conflict, but it's used at the same time when Ukrainians are having trouble elsewhere in the front lines. This has been a pattern. We've seen it before. Actually, the attack that set these platforms ablaze, set them on fire last year, June 2022, happened exactly when Lysychansk was about to fall. Sorry, and yeah, and that's it. And they make a big deal out of it. And there is one reason behind it. One obvious reason is it's because of morale issues. We know Ukrainian is losing dozens of thousands of men. It's not in the interest of the Ukrainian population. Don't take me wrong. I'm not taking any sides here. I really hate to see the Western media behaving like it does in a conflict like this. It's of utter hypocrisy when they take the sides of Ukraine like this on the conflict. And among other things that I really hate about Western media. You know, the media of the world that represents the free world. And so it's really, I have hard time to cope with it. And so I had to talk about this issue. I don't know if it's gonna, it already made the headlines, some headlines. I noticed in the Portuguese media, and when it happens, it's a sign that it has some projection outside of the Portuguese media sphere. They translated the news for Portuguese, and the line was many steps closer to retaking Crimea. And to be honest with you, I don't know. I really don't. I could not imagine what would happen to the Crimean people if that complete retake would be done by the part of the Ukrainian military. I can only recall Odessa and the massacre on the Union building, and or what happened in Kherson for the people that remained there, and they were accused of being collaborators, and then there were trucks running amok with Nazi flags hoisted on them. I really wouldn't like to see such a thing. And so I think the important things here for us, for this alternative media and alternative communication means that use YouTube and other platforms, is to keep talking about this news and keep at least trying to bring the real information afloat, and trying to dismantle these narratives that are only made to make people more angry or more eager to go to war. And so they are made to prolong the conflict, and that's it. It's if I have to put it shortly, that's what this piece of news in media victories are made to. And at the same time, the Ukrainian Telegram channels and alt media, because the West also plays in the alt media field, they promote, things that it really makes me think, how can we support such an undemocratic government or force when they promote merchandise. The other day I saw on Instagram, for instance, a brand, I don't recall the name of the brand, but they sold t-shirts like with the slogan "Kill the Russians." and the European Union takes measures against Russian ordinary people that travel to Europe, and they are subject of discrimination. And this is the kind of environment that I can only recall of the history, the recent history of the 20th century, NAZI. And so yeah, that was that. That was a short video I wanted to. I had to put this out there. Later on, we'll be having a live stream in Portuguese, but then subtitles. That's my English is. I'm always tripping on the words. The subtitles will be added later in English, and me and Professor Fernando Almeida will be discussing about the origins of the conflict, and again, to dismantle a narrative that is simply not true. Thanks for being with me, to have the patience to listen to this trampled English that I speak in. And yeah, see you next time. And don't forget to subscribe, and please share my work. It's a small channel. I do it on part-time. I'm a full-time industry worker. I work shifts. I don't have that much time to dedicate full-time to as much as I wanted, at least, to this channel. But you give it a try. There are a lot of contents, different contents on this channel. Okay, bye-bye. And of course, if you like this video, please subscribe, follow this channel, help it grow a little bit, help it enhance its contribution in the information space. Thank you very much. Tune in for the next one.